Good evening and welcome everybody. It's Simon Zucci here. I don't normally do these webinars. Andy Haynes normally runs them for us, but Andy's running the Worcester PIN meeting tonight, so he's unavailable. So I've been asked to come and step in and run these. So it's great to be back doing these. And I'm really pleased that the particular borrower is someone I know really well. He's a great developer and he's got a really fantastic project. So it's really great to be able to come back and do this pre-launch webinar for you. So we're going to start in a moment or so. As you know, we normally start at 7 p.m. The details for this are already on the platform. As you know, we now put them on 24 hours before launch. They went on at 10 a.m. this morning. So if you've got any more questions, you can go and or you can go and look at the details on the platform once you finish this webinar. But because this is a live webinar and because we have the borrower on live, I'm going to give you the opportunity to ask any questions you have about this particular project direct to the borrower to get all of your questions answered. Okay, so this particular development is Priory Farm Barns in Wolston in Warwickshire, and the postcode for you to do your research is CV8 3FX. Okay, that's postcode. And we always encourage people to do their own due diligence. This has obviously gone through our extensive due diligence. We're very happy with the project. We're very happy with the borrower, which is why we're putting this deal on the platform. So let me tell you a little bit about CrowdProperty first. So CrowdProperty is a peer-to-peer lending platform designed to facilitate loans between private individuals and professional property businesses. CrowdProperty is authorized and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority under permission number 723959. CrowdProperty is not covered by the Financial Services Compensation Scheme. Now, there are risks with any loans you make, and just like all peer-to-peer lending, your capital is at risk. However, CrowdProperty endeavours to protect all lenders. This is done by registering the legal first charge against the property project. This means in the very unlikely event a borrower defaults on a loan, CrowdProperty will be able to take ownership of the project and manage it for the lenders. So now let's talk about this particular project. So the site is located in a semi-rural surroundings on the northern edge of the village of Wolston, and the surrounding area is a mix of residential and farmland. Coventry is approximately 7 miles to the northwest, and Rugby is 6.5 miles to the east. The site comprises a number of dilapidated, constructed Grade 2 listed farm buildings situated on a parcel of land totaling 0.64 acres. There was also additional area of pasture land totaling 6.6 acres, which forms part of the old Priory. A mounted earthworks is now designed and scheduled ancient monument by English heritage. Okay, so really quite a special old site. Now, planning permission has been granted to convert this into 3 residential units. The borrower took an option on the site last year, secured planning, and has now exchanged contracts and will complete on the 29th of March 2019. Now, at CrowdProperty, we always get a RICS valuation. So it's a valuation from a member of the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors. They're a third party. They value what is the site worth now with the planning permission, and then what is it worth once the project's completed. So right now, excuse me, right now the site has come in at a valuation of £406,000, and that's based on having the planning permission for these 3 units. The RICS estimate of the completed development gross development value, GDV, is £1,515,000. Now, we have agreed a loan development facility of £850,000, which will be spread over 2 raises. The loan is going to be for 18 months, which is the maximum term, and we always take a first charge security on the site so that if there are any problems, CrowdProperty can step in and complete the project. We will be operating a £5,000 bid limit for the first 5 minutes. As you're aware, many of the projects go very, very quickly on CrowdProperty, as we expect this one to as well. So to give as many lenders the opportunity to come in as possible, for the first 5 minutes, the maximum bid will be £5,000. Now, obviously, there are some people who want to put more on, which is some of those people are sometimes disappointed, but we want to try and keep as many people give people the opportunity to come into these loans as possible. So this is something we're trialing at the moment, and we are going to be doing 5 minutes, £5,000 limit on this particular raise. So the location of the farms, here's, as you can see, the little CrowdProperty symbol showing the location in Wolston. And if we zoom out, a slightly wider view of Coventry up here and obviously Rugby down here. That kind of helps you understand whereabouts in the country this development is. Within the village, the location of Priory Farm Barns is on the northern side of the village just here. So this is a picture, and as we said, they are pretty dilapidated, as you would expect for barns of this age. And the borrower is specialized in knowing how to convert these. These kind of conditions would put a lot of people off, which is great. The borrower's got these at a really good price. But actually, what it means is that there's massive scope for those people who know what they're doing. And once these kind of barns are converted in this kind of country, rural area, there's usually very, very high demand for this. So we'll talk about that later on. Here are the external pictures of the barns, as you can see, and then the rear view of them. And let me give you a little bit more detail about the actual project. So the site's going to be developed into 3 separate residential units in a courtyard environment. So as we said, it's situated 7 miles to the southeast of Coventry and 6.5 miles to the southwest of Rugby. The north side of the village is within walking distance of amenities. To the north and west overlooks farmland, and the former barns range of single-story and 2-story buildings in a courtyard setting. And these barn conversions are often in this kind of courtyard style. Traditional construction of brick walls and pitched roof and concrete floors. All buildings are dilapidated state of repair, as one would expect from former Victorian barns. Now, the site is registered, within the Rugby District Council and benefits from 3 separate planning consents. You might want to jot these down. There's R15/0862, and then R17/1831, and R18/0546. You can go and check those on the planning portal for yourself. Permission has been converted to convert these barns into 3 separate self-contained dwellings. Now, the construction work is expected to take about 42 weeks. The borrower intends to sell development on completion of the works. So we've put in 18 months, which should be the maximum loan term. That's enough time to get these built and also sold. However, the borrower will probably sell most of these off plan, and when we talk to the borrower, we can chat to them about that. And as usual, there's always a first charge security on the project. What that means is that CrowdProperty, on behalf of all the lenders, have the first legal charge, just like a bank would on a mortgage. If there's a problem, CrowdProperty can step in and they can resolve that problem to be able to complete the project and get the money back to the lenders. So a little bit about the location. So Wolston is in the village, is a village in the Rugby borough of Warwickshire. Population, according to the 2011 census, is 2,300 people. Road connection to Coventry and Rugby are via the A45 and Foss Way. The mainline railway train station connecting Coventry and Rugby runs just north across a viaduct constructed in 1830. The village contains a primary school, small collection of shops, community centre, and the Red Lion pub. And the River Avon actually also runs through the village. So here's the existing plan and layout of the farms, as you see around the courtyard. And here is the architect's proposed plans. So this is obviously ground floor, and then this is an upper floor. So the development has 3 separate planning permissions, as we said. to convert the former farm buildings into 3 residential units. Now, the total size area is 0.64 acres, plus there's this additional pasture land. The 3 units, so unit number 1 is going to be single-story dwelling with an entrance hall, dining room, lounge, master bedroom ensuite, a bedroom 2 and communal bathroom. The total area of that is 697 square foot. Unit 2 is a 2-story dwelling with an entrance hall, kitchen, WC, family room, utility room, store and lounge at ground floor level. Then a master bedroom with ensuite bathroom, dressing room, and 4 separate bedrooms and communal bathroom, a total area of 3,110 square foot. And then unit 3 is a 2-story dwelling with entrance hall, kitchen, WC, dining, living room, utility room, study at ground floor level, 2 bedrooms, both with ensuites, and galleried landing at first floor level. Total area 5,658 square foot. I mean, that's a huge building. Units 2 and 3 will also include separate garages as well. Okay, so this shows the ground floor plans and also first floor. We've got the designs for the elevations, north, south, and west elevations here. Okay, show what they look like, and also the north, southeast, and west elevations this way. Okay, so elevations there, and I particularly like these. These are the computer generated images of what they'll actually look like. And I see quite a dramatic transformation. These kind of barn structures are incredibly popular, as we'll find out when we speak to the borrower. So now just looking at some of the financials and proposed loan. So the current market value is 406,000. That's with the planning permission, and that's been verified by the independent third-party RICS surveyor. The estimated build cost is 750,000, and that's the quantity surveyor estimate. And the total gross development value of the completed development is 1,515,000. Again, that's the RICS valued verification. Now, the loan facility is going to be £860,000 loan. That's going to be spread across 2 raises. The first raise is going to be 460,000. That's the one that we're doing tomorrow, and obviously the subsequent raise will be a further 400. Now, from that initial raise, 230 will be released on completion, which can be the end of this month, and that's actually to help with the purchase. And the remainder will be drawn down in multiple phases based on the IMS verification. So that's a surveyor goes in, checks how much work has been done, and then releases the money to the borrower. The exit strategy here is to sell all of them once they've been completed. Now, the loan, as I said, will be in 2 phases. Day 1 drawdown is 230,000. The remaining loan will be drawn based on independent monitoring surveyor verification. The initial loan to value is going to be 56.7%, and then the loan to value at project completion is going to be 56.8%. Now, the loan to value, including rolled up interest and assuming the loan runs for the full 18 months, and it may well be less than 18 months, would only be 64.2%. So it's a fairly low loan to value, which is obviously pretty good. Always our projects are secured with a first charge against the property. The interest that you as the lender can earn is 8% per annum. That's a simple interest rate, 8%, and it's prorated for the length of the loan. Interest is always paid at the end of the project. When the capital is repaid, that's when interest is paid at the same time. The maximum loan length is going to be 18 months. Very often we plan in extra length so that the borrowers don't run out of time. It's better to have more time than required because they can always pay back early, and then you will earn interest prorated for the length of time. And the minimum loan period is always 6 months. So you're always going to get at least 6 months worth of interest. This loan will commence when the project completes, in terms of the purchase completes, on the 29th of March 2019. Now, at CrowdProperty, we always believe in responsible lending and borrowing. The amount of the loan is based on the project and also the experience of the borrowers. The total lend on this project is 860,000 based on 2 tranche raise. First raise is going to be 460, and then obviously the second raise is going to be 400, which should be raised Q4 2019. The initial day one drawdown is going to be 240,000, creating an initial loan to value of 56.7% on the property value. RICS valued at 406. So in other words, the 240 compared to the 406 is 56.7%. The end LTV, including all the interest rolled up, is going to be 64.2%. So that's comparing 860 against the GDV of 1,515,000. CrowdProperty always takes the first charge to protect against a default by the borrower, so we can step in. And obviously the remaining funds will be drawn down. So the initial 240 on the first day, then the balance will be drawn down based on the independent monitoring surveyor's report. And then the second raise of 400,000, which will be in Q4, that will also be drawn down in phases subject to the monitoring surveyor's report. As I said, the loan maximum length is going to be 18 months, and the borrower's exit strategy is to sell the properties. We'll talk about that when I bring the borrower onto the webinar. And then the loan is going to start the 29th of March, and that's when you can get your money starting to earn interest for you. So I'm going to introduce the borrowers. So we've got Richard and Mark are the borrowers, and Richard's going to actually be on the line with us. So I'm just going to unmute Richard now. I can do that, and then Richard can say hello to us all, and I'll run through a little bit of information about Richard and Mark. So good evening, Richard.
Evening, Simon.
Great to have you on the webinar. Let me tell everyone a little bit about you guys, and then I'm sure we're going to have lots of questions about this really exciting development project. So first of all, the borrowers are Richard Morgan and Mark Shimwell. They set up an SPV. So when you do this kind of developments, you always set up what's called a special purpose vehicle. So it's a company that holds the development, and it's called Yew Tree Hall Developments Limited to purchase this particular opportunity. Richard has been a property developer and civil engineer since 1989, specializing in local authority roads and also drainage works. Both Richard and Mark have been developing and constructing residential property for about 30 years. Mark is a managing director, and Richard is a director of Middlemarch Construction Limited, which is a locally based company who will be appointed as the main contractors. Middlemarch have been trading since 1993, specializing in listed buildings, new build, civil engineering, and commercial buildings. And that's really important because this is a specialist project. So it's really good that they've got that relevant experience. They're also NHBC registered, which is really important. And some of their other projects have been conversion of barns and farmhouse at Stretton on Dunsmore, conversion of listed hay barns and cow sheds at Moat Farm, and construction of listed building into 5 dwellings plus 3 new builds at Clifton. So Richard, you've got a huge amount of experience in working with this type of barn conversion, haven't you?
Yeah, I think we've done about, Mark more so than I have, because Mark's on the ground all day, every day.
Yes.
I believe we've done 18 barns that people would recognize as barns.
Yeah. And these kind of projects, I mean, looking at the pictures, as you would expect, being such an old property, it is in a bit of a dilapidated state. And I guess many people would kind of be scared off that because they wouldn't know what to do. And it is really quite a speciality that Middlemarch Construction have to be able to deal with those, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, this one has, it's got some major defects on it, which is great for us because we can see how we can put it right. And it's in that niche market where the small builder just wouldn't want to take a risk. And the larger developers, it's too small.
Yes, it's
a great niche that we seem to pick these things up with.
Yes, excellent. So tell us how you actually found and secured this site in the first place, Richard.
I think it was through an agent that we already deal with. I phoned the agent, and we were finishing another project. Mark had been round and had a look at it already, and I just cheekily phoned the agent up and says, I've got people who want to invest money into some of these properties, and I've got to find somewhere quick to put the money into. And I offered him a cheeky bid, really. And and he says, I'll come back to you. Right. And of course, 3 or 4 weeks later, okay, you can have it. You
Yeah,
know?
fantastic. And I know you're particularly good at finding these kind of projects, Richard. So I'm not surprised you managed to secure that. Now we've had a great question come through from Ian Taylor. As we mentioned, he says the site is next to Wolston Priory, which is an English heritage scheduled ancient monument dating back to 597 AD, so pretty old.
Yeah.
Has an architectural survey been conducted, and will one be needed before the work can commence?
Okay, the answer is no.
Right,
The ancient monument is within the property that we are purchasing. It's not next door. We're buying it.
right,
Um,
okay,
the ancient monument is down in one of the fields, and the
yeah,
field next door is a plough and furrow field, which is why it's an ancient monument. So we're not allowed to dig it up or plough it, but it's fine for sheep, cattle, and horses.
yeah,
There is an anti-demolition order on the buildings, which is why people don't want to touch them. But
yes,
the way we're going to get around the structural defects and that, as long as you don't demolish the whole building, it's fine. We'll be
yeah,
taking each individual wall part down, so maybe 3 or 4 meters at a time, doing the structural repairs and putting it back as it was with the same bricks.
yeah. So you really are kind of repairing the whole thing.
Where we're repairing the whole thing and putting a new footing in on all of it.
Yes, fantastic. Okay, so it's going to have the kind of modern day foundations, but the original bricks and feel about it as well. So keeping the heritage aspect.
Yeah, we try and this is why we sell time and time again, and we have people who miss out on some of the projects we've just finished who are on the list ready to buy the next ones,
Yeah,
because we make sure we take lots of photos. We make sure that whatever it looks like on the outside now, it looks like that, but not brand new.
yeah,
On the inside, we retain all of the beams. Everything is retained within, and then treated and waxed, etc. So we
yeah.
keep all those within the building. So basically, people are buying a brand new, 17th century, let's say, barn, but it's brand new with a
Yeah.
10-year warranty.
Yeah, fantastic. And so you mentioned obviously that obviously you've done lots of these in the area, and you've had people who kind of miss. You've got a bit of waiting list. Who's the kind of person that would buy this kind of product? Because thinking about the exit's really important. And talk to us a little about the demand for these in the area.
Yeah, so everyone we've done so far, we've sold it off plan, and we've had to race to try and finish them off because people are eager to move in.
Yeah,
So the last 7 people were putting their money down and waiting. We've got some at Clifton on Dunsmore at the moment where 3 are sold, and people are waiting now to the end of this month and the end of April to move into those 3.
yeah,
And they're just, it's the people who are buying them. It's anybody really. I mean, I've got architects are buying them. I've got solicitors buying them. They all seem to be. I mean, these are going to be priced at between 320 and 750.
yeah.
So you've got a range of people looking to buy,
Mm,
but people are buying them because they want a new property, and when they sign up early on, they get to bespoke these properties that that they can choose the kitchen, they can choose
yeah.
the design of the kitchen, that how it looks, the electric lighting, all the especially the LEDs we can from your
So
iPad, you can change the color of the lights, etc.
they're
All
getting
those sort
a
of
brand
things.
new house to their own personal specification because they've exchanged contracts.
Yes, and
Fantastic.
that's why we sell them before they're finished.
Yeah, great, excellent. And so that makes a lot of sense for someone who's buying. They don't have to then kind of say, "Oh, I love it, but I don't quite like this," or "don't know," because they get it exactly how they want it, which is incredible. And also, I suppose that this is not like, although it's a brand new property inside, it's not like new properties because it's got all the character and the history and the heritage, which other. So there's kind of a small supply of these in the global supply of property in the area, I guess. So there's kind of probably a higher supply, it's higher demand there is supply, I reckon.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and it's also people who want to be moving in, back into the village,
Yeah.
who want something a bit different.
Yes. Yeah.
We very often get some people who are moving out of brand new homes to move into these because they
Yeah.
want to stop in the village, but want to have something a bit better. They don't
Yeah.
want the usual village house. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, no, I get that completely. Yeah, that makes great sense. So if you've got any questions about this project, please do type them in now and we'll get those answered for you by Richard. Richard, in terms of obviously we're planning in 18 months for this. We always like to give people longer than required, but if the build's kind of 42 weeks, obviously a bit of finishing off and things, and then there's plenty of time in case sales take a bit longer to complete once the buildings are done. I guess from what you're saying, it's probably going to be less than 18 months, but we've got 18 months in as a maximum, haven't we?
18 months is the maximum. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm dealing with some bits and bobs with the planning department before I start, so we won't be starting on April the 1st.
Right. Okay.
So I've
Cool.
got some bits and bobs I've got to check out with the planners before, the conditions that we've got to resolve before we start. That I couldn't do until I've completed. I can't carry on.
Yes, I get that. Okay. So question coming through from Fiona saying the proposed properties are very different sizes. Is that because of the current construction of the barns?
That is, we're having to build into the exact dimensions of the existing barns because it had queue planning permission and now has full planning permission. The stipulations on the queue is that you can't extend except under negotiation with the listed building officer and the planning department. We are talking to the planners at the moment, and the small barn at the north of the site, the very north of the site, the smallest one, has a wall that's already coming off the end of unit 2, but the roofs fell in.
Right. Okay.
And we're talking to the planning department, and they're saying, yeah, we wouldn't mind you putting that roof back on and having it as a 3-bed.
Okay.
Obviously, I haven't said that because I haven't put that in as the application at the moment because we've only got the planning as it is.
Yes.
But if you change that from a 2-bed to a 3-bed, it changes it from a sale price of 320 to about 450.
Yes. So at CrowdProperty, what we always do, we base it on what you've currently got, the planning permission now. So what you're saying is things might be tweaked a little bit to make it even more profitable.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's probably best to leave it at that, really. But I get you're sorting a few things out there. So that's great. Great question, Fiona. Thank you for that. Any other questions that anybody's got about the type of construction, the location, the sales market? I think we've covered most of it probably. And this is, as you say, I know you've done a number of these, Richard. This is a great little niche you found. Is this something you're going to be kind of doing as many of these as you can in the kind of the Midlands area while the opportunity is there?
Yeah, we do all these normally all around Rugby, really. We don't travel too far. Of course, we're having people all the time. I mean, people come to us with these barn conversion to convert for them, and the last one we bought because we stopped because of being on your course, Simon. on the mastermind, we stopped working for other people and we only do this for ourselves now.
Yeah, which is a much smarter thing. Which is a much smarter thing to do, obviously. So I'm glad that worked well for you, Richard. And it's great to see you doing so well and doing so many of these projects, which is awesome. And great you've come back to CrowdProperty. So guys, it doesn't look like any more questions coming through. Looks like that's it. If you've got a question, just type in question mark really quick so I know you're typing one in, and then we can wait for you. But otherwise, it's pretty self-explanatory. Remember, 10 a.m. tomorrow is when we're going to go live. On this one, we have been doing a bit of a limitation. We're going to put a maximum loan of £5,000 for the first 5 minutes. That gives more people a chance to come in. Now, a lot of people want to put more than 5,000 into these kind of projects, but we've done that because we want to make sure as many people can get access to these as possible. You'll notice we also have a new auto invest product. If you're not available at 10 a.m., we have a product which you can set up, and that kind of automatically puts you in to some of the projects. Many people do that because they trust the CrowdProperty brand and the due diligence that we go through. So from 10 a.m. tomorrow, you'll be able to bid as usual. I'm sure this will go pretty quick, but you have got that 5-minute window. If you want to put more in, you can obviously adjust your pledge after that first 5 minutes and put more in if if you want to do that. And also remember, there will be a second phase when Rich will come back probably in Q4 of this year for a further drawdown of another 400,000, which we'll do a subsequent raise for. So that's pretty much all the details, I think, just to let you know how you actually do this. So make sure you understand the loan. Remember that it is a loan for 18 months maximum, minimum 6 months. The interest you earn is 8% per annum, prorated for the length of the term. Once you put your money in, it is kind of stuck in there for the duration of the project. We always encourage you to carry out your own due diligence. Obviously, it has been thoroughly researched and checked out by CrowdProperty. Otherwise, it wouldn't be coming onto the platform. Decide how much you want to lend. Minimum loan is £500. That can be from your personal savings. You can lend from your business. You can lend from a pension in certain circumstances. And also remember, we now have our CrowdProperty Innovative Finance ISA. That means you can lend through an ISA, which means the interest you earn is going to be tax-free within that tax-free wrapper. So visit the website. The details are all on the platform right now, so you can go and browse over those. It does go live at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Obviously, if you're a new lender, you want to come and register, we have to conduct the necessary anti-money laundering checks as part of our FCA regulation. And then once the pledge has been put on, basically send your funds through to CrowdProperty, the secure account that we hold for you, and you're going to start earning interest on the 29th of March, which is the day when this project, the purchase will complete and the loan will then commence. Just to remind you, CrowdProperty is authorized and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority. As with all peer-to-peer lending, CrowdProperty is not covered by the Financial Services Compensation Scheme, and your capital is at risk. So that's pretty much it. I'd like to thank you for listening in. Richard, thank you so much for bringing your business to CrowdProperty and also being available to answer questions tonight. Great to have you on the line. And I look forward to watching the success of this project tomorrow morning.
Thank you, Simon.
Excellent. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, everyone. Good night, and speak to you very, very soon. Thank you.